Good morning. Shabbat Shalom, family. Glory and honor to our Father Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and the God and Father of the Messiah, Yahweh Shai, the one who is the great high priest and atonement for our sin, and who soon will take his rightful position as King of Kings on planet earth. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh, and glory and honor to Messiah, Yahweh Shai. Greetings to the 12 tribes and the 144,000 among them, who are the forerunners of the return of the Messiah and the establishment of the aforementioned eternal kingdom of the Messiah. Greetings also to the precious souls escaped from the wrath to come from among the Gentiles, who have come into the truth of the righteousness of the Father through the faith of Messiah. Greetings to the chat, relaxing your mind, Isha Shama and Brother Frankie, Castle King, Sister Love Blue, Sister Superstar, Only One Way, David Harriet, Brother Brandon Beckman, Gary Joseph, Wiothesia, Stephen Kelly, Brother Lonnie, and Sister Joyce. You praise in the prophecies, looking at prophecy of Daniel chapter 7. As we are continuing these studies, it is no coincidence. In fact, as you are awakened as Hebrews and you're awakened into who you are and you're awakened into the word of the Most High, you begin to realize and understand that there are no such things as coincidences, that nothing is by coincidence, and everything happens with a purpose. Even things we might look back and regret, even things we wish we might not have said or done or been involved with, all of it worked for the purpose of bringing you here now. And as we are studying the prophecies, we are also keeping a keen awareness of where we are in history and what it means in terms of prophecy. And the Most High, in his mercy toward us, is opening our minds and our spirit to help us be prepared against things that the earth will not be prepared for. Greetings, Sister Psalm 119 and Sister Wade. Greetings to both of you. So we are now in chapter 7, very important chapter. Last night, as you saw, it only took us about 40 minutes to go through the chapter of Daniel, chapter 6, and understanding our role in terms of the threat to us that will be coming because of our worship of the true God on an earth that's dominated by a liar. The earth is now dominated and controlled by a liar. In fact, it is dominated and controlled by the father of lies. But it's not going to be forever that way. And that's what we're talking about. The end of these things, the end of lies, the end of pain and suffering, the end of these things. That's what we're dealing with. Now, as we're looking at Daniel chapter 7, we're going to go through Daniel 2, and we're going to go through many other scriptures, but I want everyone to understand that what chapter 7 is the end history of the earth. The end history of the earth. And if you look at the history of the earth, I know there are people that want to talk about men being millions of years old and billions of years old and living in caves. Some sects of people might have lived in caves, but the Hebrews never did. But the truth is, the most important segment of history is captured in 6,000 years. Whatever there was before, the Bible doesn't talk about. But what it does talk about is the segment of history most important, the segment of history upon which judgment will be given, the 6,000 years. And it's nearly evenly broken up. The first 2,000 years, man became so crazy, so violent, so rebellious that the Most High sent a destroying water, a flood, to redirect, reconstruct, redestroy the earth. Out of that flood, the next 2,000 years was establishment of his chosen people. And the end of that next 2,000 years was the appearance of Messiah, who is the hope of his people and of the kingdom of righteousness to come. This last 2,000 years is the confusion brought forth by the enemy and the father of lies. His people, Yah's chosen ones, put into slavery. And then at the end, beginning of the said people and the return forever to establish his kingdom here on the earth of Messiah, followed by 1,000 years of us being educated and growing in times which never would have happened before sin didn't happen. Okay. And that's the last 7,000 years would be the history of the planet, at least the history that matters, and the end of all lies and sin. So that's where we are. And understanding our place in all of that history is important for us as we navigate through that history. Praise the Most High. So yesterday, we looked at chapter 6. Today, we're going to be looking at chapter 7, and we're dealing with the same 4 powers that Daniel mentioned in chapter 2. And let's go back to chapter 2 for a moment and look at those 4 powers. And we'll discuss them and understand where we are in them and why it matters. This is Daniel chapter 2, the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, that Daniel was also shown, that Nebuchadnezzar nor his magicians, astrologers, and soothsayers couldn't get the definition of the meaning, but the Hebrew prophet Daniel was given that. And so in Daniel chapter 2, we will see the dream that was happening. We're going to begin in Daniel chapter 2, beginning at verse 31. And I'm going to go from verse 31 down to verse 44. Chapter 2. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent. The form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and break. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like chaff of summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, and no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art the king of kings, for the Most High of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall arise another kingdom, inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron. For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of the Hebrews, is what Daniel was talking about. So there's going to be all these worldly kingdoms, one following another. None of them will last forever. All of them will come to an end. And they will be permanently put out of business when the Hebrew kingdom is established. And as we mentioned many times, there has been many kingdoms on the earth, many empires. In all four areas of the world, there has been empires, north, south, east, and west. But the Most High chose these four for a reason. Again, Zechariah chapter 1. Zechariah chapter 1. And the Most High is going to give his thoughts on the Gentile rule. Zechariah chapter 1, beginning at verse 15. I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith Yahweh of hosts. And a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and Yahweh shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. Then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, four horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, and he answered me, these are the horns which have served Israel and Jerusalem. That's why he chose those four. And Yahweh showed me four carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, to that which lifted up their head, their horn over the land of Judah, to scatter it. So he has four horns and then four carpenters. The four carpenters are the same four angels that are holding the four winds in Revelation chapter 7. Let's take a look there. Revelation chapter 7. So he said, the four horns are the powers that have scattered Israel and Judah. But these carpenters are come to fray them, to destroy them, to scatter them. Revelation chapter 7. And let's begin at verse 1. Revelation chapter 7, and read from 1 to 4. And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Most High. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Most High in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes. See, the closing scene of this last 2,000 years, which is right upon us, is the sealing of the 144,000. The sealing of the 144,000 precedes the final conquering appearance of the Messiah. And this is where we are right now. We are at the end of the third set of the 2,000 years, which would end in 6,000 years. Then there would be a reign of Messiah for 1,000 years before final judgment is set. Right. So this is where we're at. So Daniel is going to show us the last 2,000 years. That's what he's going to show us, starting with prior to Messiah, going past Messiah, and going to the return of Messiah. He's going to show us the last 2,000, a little bit more than 2,000 years, starting with the empire of Babylon. Okay. Daniel chapter 7. And so obviously where we live is past all of these kingdoms. We're at the end of all of these kingdoms. That's where we live. We're in the fourth empire, and we're in the toes that of the feet that are made of iron and clay. That's where we live. We're at the end, which means the next thing to happen is the stone cut without hands is going to destroy all these kingdoms very shortly. We are being prepared to stand during that destruction in the return of Messiah and the establishment of the 1,000-year reign. Daniel chapter 7. Going to begin at verse 1. Now, I want you to note when Daniel received this message. Daniel chapter 7, beginning at verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. He wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. So when did he have this dream? In the first year of Belshazzar's reign. That is why we know that when he walked into Belshazzar's palace that night to read the writing on the wall, he already knew that that kingdom was finished. See, he already knew that. In the first year of his reign, Daniel received this vision of these four empires. Daniel had already received the vision and interpreted the vision of the four metals of the statue. He totally understood what was happening where he was. And this is the beautiful thing about being servants of the Heavenly Father. He always reveals to us what's going on and why. Whereas the rest of the earth, like Belshazzar, are scared because they have no idea what's about to happen. But Daniel knew when he walked in that palace that night, he knew it was over. And he also knew the Medes and Persians were coming next. Okay. So it wasn't no surprise to him. And brethren, the events leading up to the return of Messiah are no surprise to us. We know exactly where we are in history. We're about to embark on the final 2.5 years before the Feast of Tabernacles. And, well, not before the Feast of Tabernacles, actually, before the Day of Atonement and the final Jubilee of this earth's history. That's what this is going to be. 2027 is the final Jubilee of the history of the earth. We understand where that is and what it means. And the thing is, brethren, we are the centerpiece of history. This is what most people don't know. This is one of the reasons that they're all confused. To the Bible, as you saw, after the last empire in Daniel 2, the stone hit the image, and the stone became a kingdom which shall not be left to other people. This is the focus here. See, everything else that leads up to that are just signs, stepping stones that lead up to it. At the end of it is what we need to focus on, because we're going to be in a kingdom that will not be left to other people. Most people don't even realize who that kingdom that's going to exist. They don't even know what it is. They don't even know it's coming. We not only know it's coming, we know it's us. And we know who it is and what it is. See, we are so far ahead of the people of the planet. And the Most High's grace will keep us ahead, because he's always revealing to us through the Messiah what's about to happen. Praise the Most High. So that we don't get caught off guard. And again, let me just take one more gander at Zechariah. Y'all know where I'm going. Zechariah chapter 2. Zechariah chapter 2. Notice what it says. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 8. Zechariah chapter 2, from 1 to 8. I lifted up my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, whither goest thou? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth. And another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle there. For I, saith Yahweh, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and I will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahweh. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith Yahweh. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that thou that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. Listen to that. He that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. Understand the depth of that. This is the creator, the maker of heaven and earth, the sea and everything, the creator of the heavens and the firmament, the most high of all. And he is saying, you are the apple of his eye. See, with all the things going on, all the people that call themselves important, with all of their power, planes, jets, bombs, money, you, whether you in jail, in the Department of Corrections, whether you in the ghetto, whether you in palaces, whether you entertaining on stages or courts or fields, you, whether you are rich or poor, you are the apple of his eye. And the Bible said, the greatest of us are those of a contrite and humble spirit. You are the apple of his eye. See, that's why we're going to talk about, and Daniel was very concerned about the Gentile powers and nations and how long they would have a chance to rule. He was very concerned about that. But he's always being reminded, as you're going to see, you are the apple of his eye. The 2,300 years we will talk about, Bob said, the time is long. It's okay, though. But you are the apple of his eye. Remember that, brethren. All the stuff that's going on don't matter. What does matter is the apple of his eye. You see that earthquake that hit them so much that the tremors were felt hundreds of miles away in Thailand? 7.7 earthquake. They estimated that 144 people were killed. 144. Brethren, you are the apple of his eye. It doesn't matter where on the earth we go. See, black people are always looking for place. Yes, a building collapsed, killed 144 people. 700 plus at this point they had it wounded. But it doesn't matter where on the earth we walk. We can walk any place on this earth. Black people are always looking for a place that likes black people. Don't worry about that. It doesn't matter. I'm going to say something that's the truth, though. The earth belongs to us. The Father gave it to the Messiah, and the Messiah shares it with us. We can go anywhere we want. But in this dangerous minefield of the war that we're in, we got to go where the Father leads us, right? So he knows where all the minefields are. It don't matter what country it is. It don't matter what hemisphere it is, what land is on. The earth belongs to us. We don't buy it with money. We don't divide it by real estate. Man does that. The Father said, you are the apple of his eye. All things are yours. So don't worry about the divisions of man and the countries and the visas in terms of that. I'm not saying you shouldn't get them. You must. But just remember, there's no place on this earth safe except where the Father has you. As he said, I'm going to be a wall of fire about you. Isn't that what we just read in Zechariah? He said, I'm going to be a wall of fire about you. So the more you put your trust humbly and contrite trust in the Heavenly Father, the more powerful and the more protection you have. Because you are the apple of his eye. Praise the Most High. Just make sure you're being led by him, and you can't lose. No matter what country you go to, when you land on that country and your feet touch that soil, they are blessed because you're there. I don't care what country it is. When countries chase you out, they're hurting themselves. Okay, they're only hurting themselves. Where the soles of your feet touch and you belong to Yah, they are blessed because you're there. Babylon was blessed under Nebuchadnezzar because Daniel was there. Cyrus' kingdom was blessed because Daniel was there. See, because Daniel was there. The problem they have is that they are under the mistaken impression that we belong to them as slaves and we will never be higher. That's their problem. That's why they will never see what we're talking about right now. They will never understand it because they figured that they had us in chains. Not understanding is just as the Messiah allowed himself to be beaten and spit on and maligned and put to death. He allowed it just so that he could show his power in resurrection. Just so. The only reason they had power over us is, as Messiah told Pilate, it was given to them temporarily. It was given to them temporarily. They don't get that part. That's why Zechariah said, I was displeased, but you have forwarded the affliction. Y'all is taking it too far. You think you're gods. They're going to find out. Yahweh, he said, I am Yahweh. And I dwell in the midst of Israel. They're going to find out. But this is the point. We already know. And we should trust in that. Really lean on that. Don't worry about where the Most High sends you. You can go to China. He could send you to Korea. He could send you to Africa, the continent. He could send you to any place. They are blessed because you are there. And the Most High Creator says, you're the apple of his eye. That's why. They don't realize it, but they blessed because you're there. The reason this country, the United States of America, prospered is because they brought us here. That's why they prosper. But when we leave, they're finished. And if they continue, which they will, to overreach, they're destroying themselves. Okay? They're destroying themselves. And all the European powers, the only reason they prospered is because of us. All of them. It's all good, though. The Bible did tell Abraham, in thee shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. That's the truth. Even in our affliction, even in our enslavement, they were blessed. And see, what the arrogance of them now is that they feel like, see, if you look at history, whenever they needed us, they smile at us. When we got something they need, they smile at us. When they feel like, okay, we got what we need from you, they diss us. The Civil War, the Abraham Lincoln promised freedom to slaves because they needed us because the South was kicking their behind. Once they got the victory, here comes Jim Crow. They could have stopped it. They allowed it. They finished with us. Then World War I comes. They need us. Then we come home from World War I and they stringing us up in our uniforms because we came home from Europe having seen the world and understand how to handle a gun and militarily trained. They were scared. So the only reason they ever are kind or show kindness or smile because they need us for something. Who are they smiling at now? Entertainers. And why? Because entertainers are making them money. But when an entertainer like Big Puffy overstep or Bill Cosby overstep their bounds, they know how to put you in place, dog. They only need you because they need you when you're helping them do what they want to do. But when they finish with you, cast you aside. Okay, just cast you aside. So you got to understand, they are overreaching now. They think they don't need us. That's why they sending the other brown people that don't know who they are from the northern tribes. They sending them back. And their farmers are already crying. See, when they start dissing Yah's people, they only diss themselves. And they're going to find out when it's too late that that's the case. But we know right now. That's the thing. We have the advantage. We know right now. The only reason they prosper is because we're here. Without us here, if all the Hebrews was to leave the United States of America, let me give you a guarantee. If all the Hebrews was to decide we're leaving this country and we left in drove, it's not going to happen. But I'm saying if we left in drove, tomorrow the country would collapse. Tomorrow there would be no more. And it's going to collapse anyway because the Father is taking us to the Sea of Glass. It's going to collapse. And when he takes us away, there's nothing left for them here. They're done. They don't realize it because they think their houses are going to last forever. Very temporary. Very temporary. We must understand who we are and who we are in relation to our God. We're the apple of his eye. Praise the Most High. All right. So now he gets this vision in this year. Daniel chapter 7, beginning at verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one to another. Again, we know the sea represents Gentile nations. Let's just take a look at two witnesses so we can have that understanding. The sea represents Gentile nations. So let's take it in order. Let's go to Isaiah first. Isaiah chapter 60. The sea represents Gentile nations. And the wind striving upon Gentile nations is not the Holy Ghost. It's winds of strife. The same winds that are held back by the four angels on the four corners of the earth. It's winds of war and strife. That's what it is. Okay. And he said, I saw the winds strove upon the great sea. So there's strife and war among Gentile nations. And as we know, that's going to continue until they try to unite to kill us. But it'd be too late for them then. Isaiah chapter 60, beginning at verse 1. Isaiah chapter 60. Beginning at verse 1 and going from verse 1 down to verse 5. Isaiah 60 from verse 1 to verse 5. First witness. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see. All they themselves together, they come to thee, thy sons shall come from far, and thou shalt see and flow together. And thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. You see, the sea represents the forces of the Gentiles. Again, Revelation chapter 17. Revelation chapter 17. In the mouth of two or three witnesses, let every word be established. And I'm sure I can find more, but for the sake of our time and what we're looking at, two will do. And in fact, the mouth of two or three witnesses. So we're going with two today. Revelation chapter 17, verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are people and multitudes and nations and tongues. Let's go back to verse 1 for a moment. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come thither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. So you can see the waters, the seas represent the Gentiles and their power and the strife and war among them. Why is there strife and war among cousins? Because even among cousins, they are striving for ultimate power. That is the intoxicating thing. People are always looking for power. Okay, so we're getting that buffering thing again. We know what that's about, though, don't we? Father, Yah, continue to bless and guide that your name would be glorified in the name of Messiah. Amen. Yes, we know what that's about. Praise the Most High. So Daniel saw 4 winds strive upon the great sea, and 4 beasts came up out of the sea. A beast is a kingdom or an empire or a country that becomes a kingdom or an empire. So you have 4 empires that come out of strife, war, and division. Okay, we have 4 empires coming out of strife, war, and division. And these 4 empires have in common that they have laid hands on Israel and Judah. They have scattered Israel and Judah. This is what they have in common. They have laid hands on Israel and Judah, and that's why they are being highlighted. Also, that also makes sense. So if Asatan is looking for world dominion and he's looking for the earth to worship him, he must subdue the Hebrews. He must try to destroy the Hebrews because they belong to Yah. If I just told you that we are the apple of Yah's eye, don't you understand? The devil also knows that. And if he knows that, what is he going to try to do? To destroy you is what he wants to do. And before he destroys you, if he can get you to turn your allegiance to him, he will take it. Okay, he will take it. Sorry for the buffering. May the Most High bless us. You understand? So we have to understand that's the game we're in. Always, he's going to do his best to humiliate us, to destroy us, to humiliate us, to make our men wear dresses and become alphabet soup, to make our women become bitches and whores, and then turn around and say, I don't need a man. And black men are no good. He wants us to destroy ourselves, and he will create the environment to make that happen. That's why you get redlining and ghettos and crack. He will try his best to divide us from within and without. There's been no other people on the planet Earth in this last 2,000 years as attacked as we have been. Not even close. There's none. I like the way Malcolm X put it. When people came from Poland to the United States, they didn't need civil rights legislation to become citizens and have all the rights of citizens. When people came from England or Russia or Poland or Ireland or Czechoslovakia or wherever they come from, they didn't need no special rights. They didn't need no special sessions of Congress, no amendments to the Constitution to become full-fledged American citizens. They didn't need to march in the streets because there are people getting shot down and slaughtered by police officers. They didn't need special legislation to get rid of redlining. They didn't need that. They didn't need law in banks to tell them to stop discriminating against you. They could walk into a bank and get what they need. That's why they have businesses. Businesses are a function of getting money. If you can't get money, you can't start no business. So the people that have the businesses are not the smart ones. They're the ones that have access to money. You get access to money by banks. Banks choose who they want to give the money to and who they don't want to give it to. So you have to understand the game. The game is rigged against us. And you got to understand something. As good as them. That's the truth about it. When one of us makes it, it's because we're twice as good as them. We got to be just to get to the even part because everything is lined up against us. And they're amazed too when they see it. You see, the way they set up the discrimination, one of the ways is this. If you happen to get out of the red line spot, right? If you happen to escape the traps they laid to have you killed, put in jail or something other, if you happen to escape that and you get into a better neighborhood, one of their neighborhoods, because their neighborhood is the best ones because they get protected. They get protected. And they see you there. They know you're good. You got to be. You don't belong there unless you got to be good. See, understand that. You ain't got to prove you good. They know it because you're there. They know it because you're there. And they are marveling that you got there. So they'll ask something like, you play basketball? You sing? You're an actor? You're a comedian? Because as far as they know, that's the only way you could actually get there, if you're entertaining them. But if no, you don't do none of that. You're a businessman, or you're a lawyer, or you're a doctor, or you're an engineer. That's how you got there. And you scraped and you did what you had to do. They're marveling. Because they couldn't do that. Not with all that on you. Always remember that. You're not better than them. You're twice as good as them. In order to be even, you're twice as good. And then when you are even, you will get paid less than them. You will get paid less than them. And it used to be, I say this all the time, 50 years ago, call it 60 years ago. Let's say the time of the civil rights movement and before that. From the time we got here to the time of the civil rights movement, the pecking order of the Gentile kingdom was white man, or so-called white man. They labeled themselves as white. The children of Yafet male, the children of Yafet female, followed by the Hebrew male and the Hebrew female. That was the order. And they did their best to humiliate and downgrade the Hebrew male. So now the order has changed. The order is the children of Yafet male, the children of Yafet female, the sister Hebrew female, and the black Hebrew male is now the bottom. And now these sisters are finding out something. They get their degrees, their MBAs, their law degrees, and they're finding out what the Hebrew male has been experiencing since we got here. If a child of Yafet female and you are going for the same job, they're going to give it to her. And if they give it to you, they're going to pay you less than they would have paid her. Now y'all are finding that out. See, if they give it to her, even if you're a CEO, they're going to pay you less than other CEOs that are of the other counterpart. And y'all finding that out now. We've been dealing with that our whole existence, which is why many of us are angry and unfortunately turn to things like alcohol or food and hurt ourselves. But the awakening changes all of that. When you start to understand who you are and why you are, you start to understand the game of the system and how it's working, or should I say, not working. Now it all makes sense. Nothing surprises you. There was a time when I literally had to pray to stop myself from burning a building down because I was so mad when I realized what they were doing to me. It was my wake-up call. I actually started believing in trickle-down economics and supply side. I thought it was fair. I thought it was for everybody. When I woke up and found out I was taken, I wanted to burn that whole building down. I really did. And in the Most High Spirit, I had to pray. I was so mad. And I stayed mad for a while. And I began to understand the anger of the brothers around me. And brethren, we are the ones. There's no doubt. Just remember who we are and why they're scared of us. They're scared of us. And they should be. His men are first. That's why it's important to understand 144,000 are men. The Father's going to show the earth. You tried to kill my brothers, but I'm going to bring them back strong. And you sisters going to have some brothers that you could really look up to, that you could really be helpmates for. in spite of everything they tried to do and are still trying to do to destroy us. It's over. We started awakening now. That cat's out the bag and it ain't going back in. It's over. It's just a matter of time. They just don't know it. It's like they dead men walking. They don't realize it's coming. Daniel chapter 7. Now you know why you're getting all this buffering. Now you know why. Daniel chapter 7. So now he sees 4 Gentile kingdoms coming up out of the earth, out of the water, not out of the earth, out of the water. Okay. And he knows that these are striving. He sees it. And out of these 4 come 4 empires that put hands on Israel and Judah. Okay. Daniel chapter 7. Let's go looking at them now. So we know who they are because Daniel already told us, right? Or at least he told us Nebuchadnezzar was the first. And we know the second one was the Medes and the Persians because we saw Belshazzar die and we saw Darius the Mede take the kingdom, right? So we know that. But the Bible, not see, because we saw that already from chapter 2 through 5. We saw that. Okay. Okay. Praise the Most High. Beginning at verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So that's Babylon. That's the first one. It said it was a lion, right? But then it became a man. See, now the Bible talks about man's heart. What is it? Let me ask you. Here's your first quiz question, Bible students. How does the Bible describe the heart of man? It does. I'll give you the book. It's Jeremiah. How does Jeremiah describe the heart of man? How does he describe it? What does he say about the heart of man? Because he said this was a lion, but the wings were plucked, so it couldn't fly no more. Then it was made to stand on his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. That's right, Brother Stephen Kelly. The Bible says that the heart of man is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. The heart of man is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. And then Isaiah said, why put your trust in man whose breath is in his nostrils? Cease ye from man. So this kingdom was a lion and it became a deceitful man, which is why Belshazzar was fool enough to do what he did. It was a sign that it was over, right? So it became a man and a man's heart was given to it. And then verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised one side and had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. So a bear is one of the most powerful, right? Can I say of animals that exist? I'm talking about dinosaurs. I'm talking about of animals that exist on planet Earth. There's very few animals as powerful, as fearsome as a bear. And you can talk about different ones, the polar bear, the grizzly, of course, the black bear, especially the grizzly and the polar bear. They can be 9 feet tall. And man, when they coming, and they can run at you. You can't run away from them. Okay. You better hope you got a 30-06 44 Magnum pack, and you better not miss. Because if they come at you, they getting you. You're going to be lunch. So this bear had 3 ribs in its mouth, which tells you in order to get what it got, it had to eat 3 kingdoms. It was coming. And it took the kingdom. That's why Darius the Mede took the kingdom. It was coming. Okay. It was coming. And it took 3 kingdoms. The 3 ribs in the mouth represent what it had to devour to become the top dog. Okay. And it became that. And it said, arise, devour much flesh. There was nothing stopping that bear. Okay. They didn't have 44 Magnums at that time. They didn't have 30-06 rifles at that time. So there was nothing stopping that bear until its time was fulfilled. which brought us to the next kingdom. Verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also to it. Now, wait, let's think about this. One of my favorite animals to observe when I watch programs is the leopard. And what caused me to look at the leopard so closely was a man did a documentary on the leopard, and he studied a female leopard from its birth to its to when it had its own cubs and to when its cubs was grown. So it studied this female leopard, studied where she went, how she lived, and everything. And the leopard is a very unusual in the cat family in that it doesn't have the foot speed, let's say, of a cheetah. It doesn't run like 70 miles an hour like a cheetah does. Okay. But what a leopard can do, and it's a powerful animal, it can be up to 200 pounds. And so what a leopard will do is it will creep up on its victim and it will sit completely still. It gets to the point where even it angles itself in a way so that when the wind blows, in other words, it angles itself against the headwind so you can't smell it if it's creeping up on you. Okay. And it creeps within a few feet of its victim, and then it springs on you with a power and speed that overwhelms its victim. And with one bite to the jugular, it's over. Before the animal knew what was coming at it, it's done. It's over. Then it takes its prey. Usually a leopard will hunt at night because it has night vision. See, so it will hunt at night. Then it will take what it took in terms of its prey, and it will climb a tree with it on his jaw. Whether it's a deer or whatever it is, it will climb a tree with it in his jaw, and it will hide its food in the tree so nobody else could get it. Okay. And then if it's something big, let's say it was a bull, they'll hide it in brush. And then they come back to it until they could take pieces of it up in the tree. Leopard's something else. This one is a leopard. The thing is, so that means it creeped up on its victims, but by the time the victim knew it was there, it was too late. And with speed and precision and power, it overcome and destroyed the victim. But it flew because it had 4 wings. It said it had 4 wings upon the back of it, like a bird. So it could fly and creep on you. So it can fly to its location, wait on you, creep and destroy you, and fly away. The Greeks, something else. Something else. The Greeks labeled like and there were 4 of them. They had 4 heads. We're going to find out when we look at chapter 8 about those. Let's look at it now. Those 4 heads of the Greeks. Let's take a look at it. This is Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. I'm going to look at begin at verse 20. Daniel chapter 8. We're going to begin at verse 20. Of course, we're going to go into great detail in Daniel 8 when we get there. But here, just for the sake of what we're looking at in chapter 7 and that third kingdom of the leopard, let's take a look here. In Daniel 8, it's described as a ram. So let's start at Daniel chapter 8, beginning at verse 20 and going from verse 20 down to verse 22. It will describe why it had 4 heads. Daniel chapter 8, verses 20 to 22. The ram which thou sawest, having 2 horns, are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat that is the king of Grecia. That's the one we're dealing with. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So Greece is the goat. My bad. Greece is the goat. Okay. Now watch verse 22. Now that being broken, and 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in that leopard Greek empire. It would be divided into 4, which is why it had 4 heads. It would be divided into 4 separate kingdoms that made up an empire of Greeks. So Greeks dominated, but it was 4 separate divisions of Greek. And it said they had the first power was one horn, but it was broken. The horn was broken. And then there were four come up in its place. That is Alexander, who called Alexander the Great. He was the first ruler, emperor worldwide of the Greek Empire. He's the leopard that was sneaking up on people and taking stuff. He was that dude, but he died. And it said not in his power. In other words, it wasn't his children that took over the kingdom. It was his generals that took over the kingdom. So his generals took over the kingdom and they divided. One had north, one had south, one had east, one had west. That was the four divisions of what was the Greek Empire. And then that's when they began, discovering stuff. They went into Africa and they went and discovered, they discovered reading and writing and how they washed their behind. They discovered we knew how to do operations. They discovered all kind of stuff and they started slapping their name on it. That's why Egypt became the capital, became what it is even to this day, Alexandria. That name is a sign that they was there. Okay, that name is a sign that they was there. Then they discovered all kind of stuff. They took the philosophies of the ancients from Hamites and they brought it with them to Greece. They discovered it. And then they had their own philosophers that slapped their name on it, like Aristotle and them. Just slapped their name on stuff because they stole it, because they discovered it. And they tried to spread their seed. Oh, they really tried to spread their seed. They tried to Europeanize the seed, which is why today, you even have today in the nation of Egypt, you have Europeans and people that look European because they tried their best to spread their seed all through. That was the four Greek Empire divisions. That's how you got the Chunda Yafet influence on all what's now called the Middle East, on all Saudi Arabia, on all. That's how you got that influence, because they were spreading their seed. They tried their best to spread their seed throughout all the then known world to make everybody understand they was ruling. Of course, that mess didn't work, but that's what you have today. That's why you have all of these people looking like Europeans that are in places that Hamites dominate. Okay, and people don't understand that. That's the Egyptian. That's the newest Egyptian. That's the Johnny come lately Egyptian. You got to go to the southern part of Egypt to find the original ones, the ones that are in ghettos. Anyway, let's go back. Now you see that third one, the leopard, that was the Greeks. Now here come the fourth one. The fourth one's not hard to figure out after the Greek Empire. Okay, and in fact, let's take a look at it in Daniel chapter 2, verse 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. So always remember, brethren, when you go back to Revelation, and you see that beast in Revelation chapter 13 with the 7 heads and 10 horns, you can understand now all 10 horns are on one head. Do you understand that? Like, it's not, the 10 horns are not spread. All 10 horns are on one head. This beast had 10 horns. All 10 horns are on the first, that head that represents the iron that's going to be around all the way to the end. The iron mixed with miry clay. The iron that is the least valuable, but the hardest of all of those metals. When you're talking about gold, right? Silver, right? Brass and iron is obvious, even to people. We don't have to be no metallurgist to understand iron is the strongest one, but it's also the least valuable. Gold is the softest one, but it's also the most valuable. Does that make sense, y'all? So you're going down in the value, but getting stronger in the metal. So you got the metal at the bottom, at the end, is least valuable, but strongest and cruel and hard. That's why we have the world we have today. Okay, strongest, cruel, hard, breaking in pieces and bruising. And I want you to understand, after Nebuchadnezzar, after Evil Merodach, and after Belshazzar, the centerpiece of the earth was now based in the children of Yafet. From the Medes and the Persians, all the way you get to the Greeks, and then finally the iron, which is the Romans. is now based on faith. Okay. And so, as also coming with that, the effect from Eastern Europe dwelling in the tents of Shem. You see the domination of the children of Yafet. It's not hard to see. You see the domination? They have different fancy names for it today. Have you ever heard of the word colonizing? You ever heard of a colonizer? You ever heard of the term colonizing? What does that mean, to colonize? What does that mean? Because this is the thing. You got countries where they came and took, right? So the United States of America is where the colonizers came and took the land and told the people that was originally here, y'all are guests here. Y'all are guests here. We'll give you reservations to live on, but y'all are guests here. We have it now. Where the Canadians came and told the same people, y'all are guests here. We're going to need this, yo. You know, I told my wife last night in the series The Wire, there's a drug dealer named Marlo Stanfield. He's a mean little dude. And so he saw this corner that this other drug dealer had built up and had business going. And Marlo walks up to the other drug dealer and he said, "You did a nice job building up this corner. You got a lot of business going on in this corner. Look, we're going to need it, yo." That's all he said. We're going to need it, yo. And he had his strength. He had his strong arm behind him. And he said, "Let them know what it be, but we're going to need this corner." That's the United States of America. That's the Europeans. They came to Canada. Y'all did a nice job with these teepees. You did a nice job, you know, building up, having all this buffalo and this wild animals and this beautiful land. That's what they did when they came to what's now the United States. They saw all of these hundreds of tribes of Hebrews and their teepees resting, and they had, "Hey, y'all did a nice job here, man. We get all kind of game, this beautiful fresh water. We're gonna need it, yo." They did the same thing in Mexico. They did the same thing in South Africa. They came to South Africa and they said, "Man, y'all did a nice job, and you got gold in this. We're gonna need it, yo. Tell us what it be." And that whole thing. Dominate by being there, like I said, United States, Canada, Mexico, or South Africa or Australia, where you know they are, New Zealand, all of them countries, same story. Well, in them countries that they're not physically dominating, they took it with the culture. That's called colonization. You worship their gods, you follow their economic policies, you use their dollars. If you don't, your dollar ain't gonna be worth nothing. And you follow their culture. That's colonization. That is Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, Costa Rica. Puerto Rico. That's all the islands. Okay, you follow their culture. That's Colombia, the whole South America, the whole thing, except Brazil, because they stayed there. The Portuguese are still there. You speak their language. You speak the language of the person that colonized you. By the fact the way you speak their language, that's who owns you. England owns us, right? France, Haiti, Spanish, nation of Colombia, Spanish, Brazil, Portuguese. The language you speak told you who colonized you, and you carry their names. See, that's colonization. You carry their names, you speak their language, you've inherited their culture. Problem is, though, this is the problem. I mean, for them, we can't help being who we are. So that you can create a red line neighborhood, you can malign our men, you can turn us into animals, you can give us your names and your language, and we're going to turn around and put our spin on it. So now they call it slang, right? They call it slang, right? They call it ebonics. Matter of fact, Big L called it ebonics. Let me break this ebonics down for you, right? So we take what they gave us or what they decide to stamp on us, and we transformed it because we just do that, because that's how we do. We create our own styles, we turn our own food, we do what we do. And we put our own style on it because we're the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we're always going to have that touch. Can't take it from us. And we got that from our Heavenly Father. We do all this stuff. They try to colonize us. We change it around a little bit. We put our own flavor on it. They gave us names. We gave each other nicknames. Isn't that right? You ain't seen no nicknames till you go into a Hebrew neighborhood. Almost everybody got a nickname. They gave us names. We gave ourselves nicknames. And that comes all the way from the Father. Oh, they think they created music. They should have never let us get it. We put our spin on it. It's over. It's over. It's over. So they thought they invented basketball, Dr. Smith. Until that game came to the hood, then it became an art of expression. It became an expressive art along with the sport. They had never seen anything like some of the people that come out and did what they did with that game and changed the game. See, same with anything they gave us. They just can't. Okay, they never heard of rap. Oh, they people that sung and rhymed until we got it. Then it became hip hop. And he's like, what is this? They tried to label it. They said, it's rock. I heard people say it was rock. People say it was R&B. And they said, no. Because they didn't want to admit we just created a whole new thing that they don't even understand where it came from. What is this hip hop? You think Elvis Presley just knew how to dance? He studied and copied and discovered Little Richard, Chubby Checker. He discovered these guys. That's how he learned how to do it. And those guys just came out with it. They was the original. They still ain't seen a boxer like Muhammad Ali in his prime, I mean, or Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson came out the hood of Harlem, and they had never seen anything like him. Where did all that? No matter what venue you put us in, there's nothing like us. No matter what. I'm just saying. Because we have the apple of our Father, we have his touch on us from Abraham. Nothing can change. We saw this in Daniel. Of all of his magicians and astrologers, Daniel and his three friends, 10 times better. 10 times better. That's not because they just got skills. I'm sure they did. But the blessing of the Most High is on them. Always remember that, brethren. This is where you came from. This is your heritage. Your heritage is Moses and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. Your heritage is the nation of Israel. That's where you come from. And the blessing of Abraham is on you. In thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse him that curseth thee. Exactly. They're always trying to copy. They can't really be. But you just hand us something, and all of a sudden it becomes something else. Praise the Most High. That's right. He ain't want nothing to do with that, brother. And he tried to fight Joe Louis. Joe Louis, damn near 40 years old, out of his. Joe Louis had to do it because Joe Louis was a good American. And they said, okay, good American, you owe us $50,000 in back taxes. Although he gave away money during World War II to help the war effort. They said, you owe us $50,000 in back taxes. Retirement to fight a guy that was much younger than him. So I don't even count that as a loss. Brother into that. But that's all good. It's all good though. We still got it. We still all that. Whatever venue you put us in, we will succeed and we will exceed. See, that's why they got to destroy us. They're trying their best, brethren. You think all of these, I'm not going to lie. Some of us, a large portion of us have turned into animals because they created it to be that way. But the awakening is letting us loose, man. Letting us loose. It's letting us loose. Okay? Letting us loose. Praise the Most High. And so the mind is coming back and expanding. We don't woke up. We done sobered up. It's coming back now. You done messed up. Too late. There ain't nothing they could do about it. Too late. Too late. See, history revolves around us. We're watching Gentile kingdoms come and go. But we are a part of a kingdom that will never go. Forever it will stand. And we're on the edges of inheriting it. Praise the Most High. And that's why we're studying this, because we are seeing how close we are to the actual inheritance that we're going to get. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and bring you peace. We shall return maybe an hour and a half. Sure.